Jim Farley put out a very famous short video, which gave us the sum total of one of the things that's the problem, and that's the software business and the software that, in essence, is holding everybody back. The key to success at Tesla is the fact that they develop all their own software. Right. They don't give out anything.
But that's as far as it goes. And so guess what you cannot do? You can't do over-the-air updates. Impossible. Exactly. They'll get there in the 2025, 2026 timeframe, which means in 2025, 3 years from now or so, 2 years from now, they'll catch up to where Tesla was in 2010. Yeah. And where the hell is Tesla going to be in 2025?
Why is there no OTA on a VW, the ID4? Why?
Cariad, Volkswagen's, wunderbar kind of software effort was supposed to do that. But as you know, that rocket ship blew up on the launch pad and everything's been delayed. They're saying now maybe till 2027. So, it's not like they're falling behind. It's like they're racing in reverse.
I got information from one of the guys that was in that room, and he basically says, the roof's on fire, everybody at Volkswagen is sleeping, I need 30% cost reduction. Yeah, they can release you, but it's going to cost you 2 years in severance pay. Holy doodle. How many hundreds of thousands of people does Volkswagen have? If you get rid of one of those shifts, and you got to pay all these characters off? Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
I think the Volkswagen group, with the exception of Porsche, is in trouble.
Do you know who's really in trouble is Audi. Yeah. I would never even dream of creating software. I would go over to Elon's back door. Hey, hi, I'd like to buy some software, like a lot of software. I just want the whole works. How much would that be?
Elon announced that a major OEM is going to license FSD. Who's your guess?
In this video, Sandy Munro and John McElroy, two legends with decades of experience in and around the automotive industry, discuss Tesla's incredible disruption, unmatched pace of innovation, and some of the corpses beginning to pile up in Tesla's wake. These highlights come from an excellent episode of the Munro Live podcast, which I highly recommend, link in the description. And if any engineering nerds happen to be watching, who also happen to be impatient, you will definitely want to check out the most recent video I've posted to my ex-subscribers. Super early access video I've posted, an absolute masterclass in Tesla engineering, a look inside the Model Y and how easy it is to assemble. I will eventually be posting this video publicly on YouTube, but it could be a while. And you seriously don't want to miss out on that one.
Jim Farley put out a very famous short video, which gave us the sum total of one of the things that's the problem, and that's the software business and the software that, in essence, is holding everybody back. The key to success at Tesla is the fact that they develop all their own software. Right. They don't give out anything. You can give them a mechanical box, but they'll take care of it from there. So
right.
For those who missed this tidbit, I covered it somewhere. I think it was on X, maybe Patreon or even YouTube. I don't know. Just go subscribe everywhere and you won't miss out. Jim Farley admitted in a discussion with Sandy Munro that Ford had around 150 different suppliers, each providing components with their own software. Imagine trying to get those things to talk to each other in the car. And Ford can't write the software. They have to go back to the supplier and go, hey guys, can you help? No wonder they're fucked. And this is one of the key distinguishing features of Tesla. They are a software-first company. Their vehicles are in fact computers on wheels. From the outside, they look pretty similar to an internal combustion engine vehicle. But aesthetics on the outside are the only similarities. The stuff that really counts is the software. And the challenge in front of legacy automotive manufacturers today is to learn how to write incredible software and make computers on wheels. Please don't tell this to the folks who claim that the competition is coming anywhere other than all over themselves, not for Tesla. When you hear somebody say the competition's coming, BMW is going to have 69,000 versions of this, Audi's going to have 12,000 different models tomorrow, GM's going to have 15 trillion different models yesterday, you must ask the question, really? So they've mastered software now, have they? Well, that's new. As I've mentioned in the past, it's a reasonable analogy. Expecting a legacy automotive manufacturer to start creating compelling electric vehicles, as in become brilliant at software, and also thermally managing the battery and so on, is like telling a world-class chef, hey, you know what? Your job now is to become a world-class ballerina. It's possible. It could happen, but it's a big shift and not one I would be betting on. By the way, does anyone have any examples of world-class chefs who then went on to become world-class ballerinas? I'd like to know.
But as you know, it goes deeper than that. It's not just, a legacy automaker going to its suppliers and saying, okay, now we're going to write the software. Tesla is the one that pioneered the software-defined car. Where before you draw one line on what the car is going to look like, before you try to figure out the interior packaging or the propulsion system or anything like that, you define the car in software. You figure out every single function that's going to be in that vehicle. And you design a software system around that. And then you drop it onto an electronic architecture that's zonal with centralized computing. And that's how Tesla starts from the very beginning, and now others are doing it too. Other startups are doing it. I'm not sure the legacies are there quite yet.
They most certainly are not there yet, John. The way legacy automotive manufacturers have been approaching the production of electric vehicles is about as wisely as many of the folks who claim the competition will be coming for Tesla. They assume, wrongly, that an electric vehicle is an ICE vehicle with a battery in it. And they proceed accordingly. Oh, okay, let's just stick a battery in. What do we need to change? Not too much? Okay, great, perfect. Software? What do we need software? It's not like they're computers on wheels. Shut the f*** up, you're fired. Next minute, instead of producing a computer on wheels, they've produced a turd on wheels. Can't do over-the-air software updates, can't unlock new features, performance, functionality. I mean, it's an absolute indictment on legacy automotive manufacturers. It's been more than a decade now since Tesla first began doing over-the-air updates. One more time. More than a decade. And how many legacy automotive manufacturers today have nailed over-the-air software updates? 0. More than a decade later. Because instead of learning how to produce a computer on wheels, and again, the analogy between the chef and the ballerina, it is quite a transformation. This is why they're struggling. Instead of producing computers on wheels, they're now producing turds on wheels and trying to compete with Tesla selling a turd. How's that working out? Oh, we know how that's working out. Tesla's destroying everyone, leaving corpses in their wake, running circles around all of these legacy automotive companies, producing electric vehicles at a higher scale, more electric vehicles than any other company on the planet, even outproducing companies in China like BYD. They have industry-leading profit margins, and all of the legacy automotive manufacturers on their turds on wheels are losing money, trying to sell their turds on wheels. That's how it's working out. Stunningly, there are still people today willing to say out loud that Tesla is just a car company.
In that little video, I don't know where it came from. It just appears on it appeared on my computer. But he said that he's got 150 suppliers that have given him 150 different softwares that somehow are supposed to kind of communicate with each other. So everybody's talking about latency, how much time there is between when the signal goes out and some job is performed, and you go to edge computing. Edge computing basically just means that I want my computer chips, or not chips, but boards, to be actually edge to edge to get rid of latency. Think on that and think about, okay, so I have a signal from my accelerator, which is designed by Fred, and it's going to go to the inverter or the power control module, some power control module, and then it's going to go from here to there, and then boom, 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 and ultimately it winds up at the electric motor. With Tesla, that's one signal that goes straight to the electric motor through the inverter, but pretty much in no time. Hence the reason when you step on that thing, you hear cracking noises. That would be your neck shrinking. But that's the stuff that he put out. 150 different software packages. They don't write it in the same language. There's no way to crack this stuff. It's like ridiculous.
Right. Well, look, that's how the industry grew up, so to speak. So in the pre-digital world, the pre-microchip world, everything was hardwired. And then as chips started to come in, it was like, for engine control, for emissions and fuel economy.
It was mostly emissions,
let's put a chip on there. It can do things far more efficiently. And then we needed a chip for the transmission, then a chip for the steering system, a chip for the brakes, a chip for moving the seats, for raising and lowering the windows. So next thing you know, there's a chip in everything. Every single component has got a chip in it. All of it with software, to your point, written by individual suppliers that use their own software programming, and none of it talks to each other.
So the technical term for what John is describing there is the clusterfuck of all clusterfucks.
Not really. I mean, they have to connect it to the CAN, right? The area network. But that's as far as it goes. And so guess what you cannot do? You can't do over-the-air updates. Impossible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe you can do a module. So even like right now today, it's the infotainment or the maps that can be updated in non-Tesla cars. But this is why, Tesla was largely unaffected by the chip shortage. It uses far fewer chips than anybody else does. And this is what Farley and the rest of them have woken up to is we got to do software-defined cars with centralized zonal computing. And they'll get there in the 2025, 2026 timeframe, which means in 2025, 3 years from now or so, 2 years from now, they'll catch up to where Tesla was in 2010.
Yeah.
And where the hell is Tesla going to be in 2025?
Let that sink in. John's right. Assuming these companies can eventually get their shit together and nail essentially a computer on wheels as opposed to today's clusterfuck of clusterfucks and start doing over-the-air software updates, not just for individual components and modules, but for the entire vehicle. By about 2025, they will have achieved the same feat Tesla has been doing since 2010. Roughly 15 years late to the party. Not 15 months, years. But I'm sure that they'll be able to catch up to Tesla and all the other stuff really fast, so we can ignore this.
That's not a chase anymore. You're kind of like picking up breadcrumbs in hopes that you'll find where they get to. But, one of the things that I keep getting over and over again is, why are you always talking about Ford? Ford this, Ford that, Ford this, Ford. What about, GM? What about Stellantis? What about, well, actually, the reason I talk about it is because they're in second place and they're moving faster than everybody else. And it's as simple as that. I mean, when you get right down to it, when I give these different speeches where I tear something apart and I look at it, like for instance, you were talking about OTA. Why is there no OTA on a VW, the ID4? Why? Because nobody has had an over-the-air upgrade. Nobody on an ID4. Why is that?
The real answer as to why the ID4 has yet to have an over-the-air software update, of course, is because Volkswagen are still holding a meeting to determine the agenda for the next meeting, which will then determine the agenda for the next meeting, which will then determine the agenda for the actual meeting to discuss how they'll eventually start doing over-the-air software updates. You've got to cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure you're very meticulous and detail-oriented. You can't make these decisions too fast. It's much better to be slow and steady. That's how you win the race. For real though, the glacial pace that Volkswagen are moving at is embarrassing. However, it's also not surprising. Not only does the corporate ownership structure of this company look like a bowl of spaghetti, I'm not kidding by the way, you have Volkswagen shareholders, German government owning a stake of Volkswagen. I'm not kidding. Can you imagine government owning a slice of your business and having a say? They got veto power with some of their votes. You got family connections with special voting power. It is an absolute monstrosity. In addition to that, they're also German. Now, I love my German friends and the German people. However, we can be honest here. The entire world is pointing and laughing at how slow it is to get anything done in Germany. The culture is one of bureaucracy and red tape, excess caution. I mentioned something along these lines recently on X and was highly disturbed to discover that the majority of businesses currently operating in Germany still use fax machines. I am not kidding. I could not believe this. I thought it was fake news. I had to do some homework. What the fuck? Fax machines. We must not change too fast. It's the German way. If this were any other nation, I would not have believed it. But it is Germany, so there's that. The ownership structure and the German culture are a recipe for disaster. And VW are whipping up a 9-course meal.
Well, there's no aerials. You have to put an aerial in.
You need a modem, right?
Yeah, exactly. Somehow, somewhere, you have to have aerials that are going to affect different boards, and there are none. So you can't do it. You can go back and maybe you can go to the, you can go back to your dealership or what have you, and maybe they can do something.
So a couple of things. Sandy's point. The reason you can't do over-the-air updates on the VW ID4 is because they don't have the physical fucking hardware to transmit the signal and then send the message to the different parts of the vehicle to do the update. But of course, you can take your vehicle to a dealership and maybe they can do an update. Imagine that. Imagine you had to take your iPhone or your fucking computer back to headquarters somewhere to get a software update. That's the state of VW's electric vehicles, which at this point in time are not computers on wheels. They are turds on wheels. How embarrassing.
But at the end of the day, That was built as a self-contained unit, so,
Again, it's not a software-defined car.
No, it
is
isn't.
not a centralized zonal computing system in it.
Yeah.
Cariad, Volkswagen's, wunderbar kind of software
yeah.
effort was supposed to do that. But as you know, that rocket ship blew up on the launch pad and everything's been delayed. They're saying now maybe till 2027.
Well, I'm sure if it takes until 2027 for VW to finally figure out how to do over-the-air software updates and have a software-driven electric vehicle, everything will be fine. It's not like time's of the essence. They're already more than a decade behind and already headed for an inevitable bankruptcy, so nothing to see here. Take your time, VW. After all, slow and steady wins the bankruptcy race.
And you saw the news just today. Audi is going to buy an EV platform from SAIC, and Volkswagen's going to get one from Xpeng. They just poured
Sheeping? Holy mackerel.
Xpeng. It looks like, I think it's pronounced Xpeng or something like that. But they're pouring like $700 million to get a chunk of this company because they are so far behind. The ID series 3, 4, 5 are not selling in China. In fact, we just got word in the second quarter, ID series in China sales were down 19%, while the rest of the EV segment was up 20%.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's not like they're falling behind. It's like they're racing in reverse.
Well said. John really has a way with words.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that, we've seen the other little deal that came out there, the roof's on fire. I have no idea which one of the executives that leaked that, but I'm sure that, I can see my house from here.
That's the new president of the Volkswagen brand.
Yeah.
Is the guy, he had a meeting with all his top
I know, and it was
guys.
supposed to be sworn to secrecy. I got information from one of the guys that was in that room, and he basically says he didn't know who it was that leaked it, but that wasn't supposed to go anywhere. The roof's on fire. Everybody at Volkswagen is sleeping. I need 30% cost reduction, and I need it by the end of the year. 30% cost reduction? That would mean I'd have to get rid of, by the end of the year, I'd have to get rid of 60% of everything. Really and truly, that's what it.
Well, as you know, the only fast way to cut costs in a situation like that is get rid of people. It's the only way.
But it's Germany.
I know, which is going to be damn near impossible.
Yes, exactly right. I heard that if you hired in and you were there for, I don't remember what the amount of time is, but some minimum amount of time, they can release you, but it's going to cost you 2 years in severance pay. Holy doodle. How many hundreds of thousands of people does Volkswagen have? Because one thing they did do that I was always admired was the fact that they did a lot of vertical integration. Now, with this kind of situation, I'm thinking, maybe that was not a good idea. Maybe that's not the thing you want to do in Germany. So I have no clue what they're going to do. And they're talking about getting rid of, a whole... the second shift. We're going to get rid of this. Holy doodle. If you get rid of either it's actually the first or third shift. If you get rid of one of those shifts and you got to pay all these characters off, oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, just when you thought things couldn't get worse, before VW can rip off the Band-Aid, they have to weigh up. Will doing so cause them to bleed out completely? Imagine having to pay out 2 years of salaries to an employee you're shit-canning because you can't afford to keep them. I mean, how does that work out?
And then what about the supply community? I mean, the ripple effect there is just absolutely staggering.
Yeah, look, I think the Volkswagen Group, with the exception of Porsche, is in trouble.
John's right. Although, let me be clear. Volkswagen Group, they're not in trouble. They're fucked. So too are Toyota. By the way, pop quiz. Who are the largest 2 automotive manufacturers on Earth today by the number of vehicles they sold last year? That would be Toyota and Volkswagen. Isn't that interesting? The world's 2 largest automotive manufacturers are the 2 most fucked. Combined, these companies on a good year will sell in excess of 20 million combined, about 10 or 11 million each. There's going to be a 20 million gap, a hole in the automotive market when these 2 companies go under. If only they were an electric vehicle manufacturer who had their sights on producing around 20 million electric vehicles per year. They could almost seamlessly come in and fill that gap.
Well, Porsche is kind of separate.
Yes.
But you know who's really in trouble is Audi.
Yes.
They fired the CEO. When that when they brought in the Audi for me to look at, the new one. I've forgotten the name. I was so
One of
pissed
the
off.
e-trons.
The e-trons, yeah, whatever.
You remember earlier how I was describing computers on wheels versus a turd on wheels? I mean, you can't make this stuff up, but just in case you don't know, Audi themselves knew what they were producing was a turd on wheels and literally named it just on screen now. Okay? The Audi literally translates to turd in English. Literally. I'm not setting you guys up, okay? They literally called it the Audi turd. But hey, at least they're honest.
Anyways, I come walking over, and they've got me mic'd up, and it's first impressions, right? And I walked over, and I said, I swore. Are you kidding me? What the? What? This is... And so they cut that.
I wish the folks at Munro Live weren't such fucking pussies. Just let Sandy. If he walks in and his first impressions is just F-bombs everywhere, let him go. I'll tell you what though, must have taken something very serious for Sandy to unleash like that when he first saw the Audi turd.
And so I came back in again and I changed it. And I said, hi everybody, hi boys and girls. And I said, what do you see here? Looks like an ID4, doesn't it? But you're wrong. And I said, let's look at it from the back. Does it look like an ID4? Yes, but you're wrong. Let's go on to the front so we can find out what this really is. And here's the Audi, grill, kind of ugly. Who did this? I think the guy that got fired for the BMW i3 was, hey, we need a new grill. Oh, I got just the idea. And I said, and I went through it and I said, all you have to do is pay 14 extra thousand and you can have an Audi. It's exactly the same, the interior, everything. Anyhow, at the end of the day, that's kind of, I don't know who's guiding or who got them on this path.
No, I mean, look, Audi's in trouble. The e-trons are not selling.
Well, at the end of the day, I don't know what's going on over in Germany. I really like Dietz. Now I know he ran into a whole bunch of other kind of problems, but at least he saw that there was a future in software. And he hired way too many people, and he hired them from Germany. I mean, Germany right now is not really classified as the epicenter of software. Why didn't they just go to Silicon Valley and get it done? In fact, I personally have no idea. I would never even dream of creating software. I would go over to Elon's back door. Hey, hi, I'd like to buy some software, like a lot of software. I just want the whole works. How much would that be? Why not?
On this, Sandy and I completely agree. As I've said a trillion times in the past, any automotive manufacturer with even half a brain cell combined within the executive levels should be crawling to Tesla on their hands and knees. Hey, Tesla, please, we want your software, all of it, operating system, thermal management, FSD, everything. Please, what can you do for us? We'll do anything you want, Daddy. Just give us the software. What do we need to do, Tesla, for you to help us out? And I'm going to put it on the record again. Pretty sure this is exactly what's going to be happening with Jim Farley and Ford. First, it was access to the supercharger network. Eventually, it'll be FSD. That'll probably come combined with Tesla's operating system. And over time, Ford may actually start implementing some of Tesla's tech in their vehicles. I don't just mean software. I mean actual physical hardware, batteries, and so on as well. Stay tuned for those future announcements. It's puzzling, to say the least, as to why automotive manufacturers aren't lined up begging Tesla for software. Instead, they're pissing away billions of dollars, in some cases tens of billions of dollars, trying, in vain, to develop their own software. Why the would you waste the resources when you're fighting for your very existence, trying just to stay alive? Why waste this time, energy, and the money when Tesla's already produced solutions that you could license? Hello? Do you want to go bankrupt and try and make your own software? Or use Tesla software and maybe have a chance of surviving? It's a no-brainer.
Why in the world would I go to Xiping's a nice place? I mean, that was one of our customers when we were in China. Okay, that's fine. But Xiping also loses more money than everybody. Nobody loses as much per vehicle as they do. Why wouldn't I go and find somebody else? Why wouldn't I go to Elon Musk? Because of pride? I don't know if that helps your stock sales. Pride doesn't work for me.
No, it doesn't. And look, they're running to the Chinese now for help anyway. Hey, along those lines, Elon announced that a major OEM is going to license FSD. Who's your guess?
Going to license FSD?
Yeah, just like everybody's running to get the NACS charging, the North American charging system. At the last earnings call, Elon said, We're getting real close to announce it. A major OEM is going to license FSD. So anyway,
you know what? I'd only have one guess.
Who?
Ford.
same here. That's exactly what I said.
Makes three of us. Now, when I first published my Tesla valuation model back in 2021, this included FSD licensing in the future. About 2 years ahead of Tesla making these comments on the earnings call, it was so fucking obvious years ago that it's been in my Tesla valuation model from day one. By the way, if you're watching and you don't have access, click the link in the pinned comment, join Patreon at the investor level and above, and you can have a peek. Isn't it interesting that Sandy Munro, John McElroy, and myself all expect the first company to announce this licensing of FSD will be Ford? Why? Because Jim Farley knows what the fuck's up and is trying to save Ford as opposed to his reputation and or just let the company go bankrupt and enjoy a golden parachute on the way out, which appears to be plan A for Mary B.S. Barra. By the way, let me put this on the record. 5 years from now, Mary Barra will no longer be CEO of General Motors. Between now and then, she's going to be remunerated, give or take $100 million in compensation, salary plus stock. Then, when she gets shit canned, fired, and replaced with a new CEO to try and put out the dumpster fire she's left behind, she'll get a nice golden parachute, big payout for being incompetent, and ride off into the sunset while GM sinks to the bottom of the ocean. Did it, Mary?
Yeah.
You know, Ford was the first to run over to get NACS. Why not be the first to get FSD?
And I think because Ford's got a closer relationship to Tesla than anybody, Elon says, Ford and Tesla are the only two car companies that never went bankrupt. I can't see him going to GM.
And I still think that is going to be the big transformation for mobility, not electrics. All electrics do are change the way you get power to the wheels to drive the car.
Right.
Autonomy changes mobility. It opens it up to everyone. Doesn't matter how old you are, how blind you are, how sick you are, how young you are, how whatever you are. You can now have mobility that takes you wherever you want to go anytime you want it.
So credit where it's due. John really gets it. The form of propulsion, the technology, that is a transformation, but compared to autonomy, you ain't seen nothing yet. I still just don't think people are appreciating this seismic shift, the complete and utter disruption, the transformation, the new era that autonomy will usher in. I just wish there were some companies that seem to have a clear lead in terms of autonomy. I'd really like to invest in their stock.
And if the numbers pencil out the way that they're starting to look like, a whole lot cheaper than owning a car.
Exactly right. And that's what I think ultimately will happen is that you won't buy a car. There will be companies that will buy cars, but you won't buy one. Because
most people
99% of the time, if you talk about ordinary people, the car is sitting in the garage. It's not doing anything. It's either in a garage or a parking lot.
Right.
And not doing anything. So
90% of the time, it's just sitting there depreciating in value.
Yeah.
So that's the real vision with autonomy is that you can open up mobility for everybody anytime they want it. It's got to get to the point where I can whip out my cell phone, say I need a car, and I know for a fact in 3 to 7 minutes there's going to be one, within walking distance of me to get to and take me where I want.
Consider this. As I record this, there are approximately 1 million Uber drivers in the United States. And just about every city and even town in the United States, whip out your phone, call an Uber, it will be there in a few minutes. In totally unrelated matters, Tesla has just produced their 5 millionth vehicle. 12 months from now, there'll be around 7.5 million Tesla vehicles on roads. A year after that, well in excess of 10. In the US alone, Tesla already has well in excess of 1 million vehicles, which in the future, with an over-the-air software update, could become a robo-taxi. Many investors, I think, don't understand this. They think, it's going to take a long time till Tesla has enough vehicles on roads that could... Bro, they've already got more than enough vehicles to completely, in an instant, disrupt Uber, the taxi industry, completely. They already have the scale. I think this disruption is going to happen a lot faster than people realize. Now, I understand not every single Tesla today on roads will in the future become a robo-taxi. But think about all the Tesla owners today. You're like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. My vehicle's just sitting around doing fucking nothing for most of the day. Why don't I send it out so it can make me a full-time salary or more autonomously while I'm at my job? Free money? Yes, please.
Because, if you have a relatively new car, say 3 to 5 years old, if you look at the monthly payments, the maintenance, the fuel, the insurance and all that, it costs the average, this is AAA numbers, not mine making it up, $10,000 a year to own a car. One. So if you can go to the average household and say, how'd you like to give up your car? Or give up one of your cars? And guess what? We can save you $3,000 to $5,000 a year, maybe even more than that. I think a lot of households will say, sign me up. I want to save that kind of money.
Completely agree. Now, this has been an excellent conversation. Again, there is a link in the description to watch the full podcast. I highly recommend it. Both Sandy Munro and John McElroy have combined probably close to a century of expertise in the automotive industry, maybe a little less. These guys have seen the internal combustion engine vehicle at its maturity. They've worked in and with legacy automotive companies, and even they both now recognize how completely and utterly screwed legacy automotive companies are, and are in awe of Tesla's incredible pace of innovation and the seismic disruption underway. They also realize that VW are in big f***ing trouble, and that autonomy is a truly colossal opportunity. The writing really is on the wall, and don't forget, if you're an engineering nerd and you're impatient, head over to X and check out the latest super early access video I've posted. Absolutely mind-blowing engineering inside the Model Y. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. It certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point and something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy. Wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1, is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it. You'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link at the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon. And don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.